Mark Mitchell.
Mr Chair, it's a great pleasure that I get to rise and speak in support of the jury service and protection of particulars of jury list information amendment bill, and in particular part 1. And as a new member of Parliament, Mr Chair, part 2, thank you. And as a new member of Parliament, Mr Chair, I feel strongly that when we have the opportunity to be able to give New Zealanders more choice, to give them more choice, and to be able to make legislation that is going to offer more protections to them, then we should take those opportunities. And I've listened very closely to the debate tonight, and I'd have to say that, and I will be getting to part 2, this is leading to part 2, Mr Chair, but when a New Zealander does reach the age of 65, and probably in that time they probably have made a major contribution to the country, and that they have made a major contribution to the country. They probably have had a lot of community service. When they get to the age of 65, Mr Chair, and they're presented with an option in terms of whether or not they're going to be a juror or not, and I have to say that actually jury service can be very daunting for some people. The people in this House maybe not so much. But for someone to actually go in and have to sit in a court and confront a defendant in a murder trial or a rape trial.
Can I assist the member? We are in part 2. I think what the member's referring to isn't actually part 1.
No, okay.
Well, yeah. I asked the member to come to part 2.
Thank you, Mr Chair. Yeah, I am coming to it, Mr Chair. I've actually moved into part 2, and that is, Mr Chair, that when someone does come, whether they, and particularly this does relate to someone that's probably over 65, and it becomes a bit more daunting for them, and it's nice for them to have a choice, is that when they do come to court, Mr Chair, I'm sure that if they were asked before becoming a juror whether or not their decision would be influenced based around whether their details were going to be provided to and available to the defendant or not, that would have a profound effect on their decision, Mr Chair. And that's why, in actual fact, this piece of legislation is not only very good in relation to providing those protections for them and actually encouraging them and providing them more incentive to want to come along and be a good juror, but it also provides more incentive for those people over 65. Because it does provide more protection for those older people. And having an electorate myself, Mr Chair, with a lot of retired people in it, is that older people, a lot of them are going to want to become jurors. A lot of them are going to want to continue to provide a service to their community. But what is going to make them a lot more motivated to do that is knowing that they have some strong protection wrapped around them in terms of a defendant will not have their details. And that, Mr Chair, is what this legislation is providing. So, Mr Chair, I'm very happy to stand in support of this legislation. Thank you.
Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
Mr Chair,